Hello, everyone. My name is Causa, and welcome to the first episode of the Corpse Cast, the show where I interview some of the internet's most creative content creators. And joined with me on our first episode, I have a very, very special guest. You want to introduce yourself?
What's up, you bloody wankers? It's me, Deric Jackman, the voice of Nick from Disventure Camp, and also the creator of The Mysteries of Kruger Mansion.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's so good. Very excited to have you here today, Deric. I'm very happy that you agreed to join today.
Yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, absolutely. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, a little bit about yourself, a bit about like the production of Kruger Mansion, a few questions about Disventure Camp. What we'll see. Are you ready?
Heck yeah, totally.
Okay, it's gonna be so much fun. Okay. So first of all, why don't you give yourself a proper introduction? Like, who are you? What do you do?
So, oh, that is such a deep question. I feel like I've dabbled in so many different things throughout my life. I'm a recent graduate from the Brigham Young University of Provo, so BYU. I studied public relations, which is a form of communications in business. I've worked in marketing, and I also dabbled in the field of psychology. And I kind of fell into voice acting by accident, but it was always something that intrigued me. It was something that was a lot of fun, and once I started doing it, it was like, oh, dude, this is so sick, and the community has just been absolutely awesome, like a blast to collaborate with, to talk to, yeah, I'd say that's the most recent portion of my life. I'm kind of a super big extrovert. I love talking to new people and all that stuff. So,
absolutely.
I think this is just right up my alley.
Absolutely. That just what you said about voice acting and how you just kind of got into it one day. I was just about to ask, like, how did you discover like the online voice acting in like creation space? Like, how did you come across it? What made you so interested in it?
That's a fantastic question. When I was a kid, I had a secret hobby, and eventually I tried to go public about it, and I actually got bullied for it. But I was huge when I was in 6th grade. I was pretty big into Lego animation.
As you should be.
So stop motion animation with Legos. It was so much fun. It's basically where you snap a shot of a Lego and then you move it a little bit, snap a shot, move it a little bit, snap a shot, and then you kind of blend all these photos together on an editing system, and it looks like it gives the illusion that they're moving, right?
Yeah.
And so I did that quite a bit, and at first I would layer that with music, but eventually I learned that you could overlay your voice with that.
Ooh.
And so I would create these little home videos just for me to watch. I, at first, did not post them on YouTube or anything like that. It was just something that I was really proud of, something I created. And eventually I shared that with some of my schoolmates, and everybody thought I was so weird. But then eventually that became like the trend, and everybody else thought that was so cool. And so I had like that experience when I was younger, and it was just kind of a side hobby. I never thought I was gonna like do anything that even remotely related to that in the future, because originally, like when I graduated high school, I wanted to be a dentist.
A dentist?
Like, I went up and I'm like, I'm gonna go and become a dentist. Yada yada yada.
A dentist?
Long story short, I went through college. I found a video online for a casting call for Reunion.
Yes.
I can't say the full name of it, but I can give you the name Reunion. But
I'm pretty sure we all know.
I connected with the creator of that, and he ended up casting me as one of the security guards, and that's ultimately how I kind of torpedoed into this community. And I've been learning so much ever since, because I had the privilege to just be around so many talented people, and they gave me so many pointers, and it was a lot of fun. But it was really by chance. I mean, a little bit of experience when I was a kid, but very much by chance. And that didn't happen until I was 24.
Oh,
So
wow.
way into my my mid 20s.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that perfectly segued into my next question, which was, how did you discover Blue Studios and how did you get involved in the production of Kruger Mansion?
Yeah, so like I had mentioned, we I oh no. Okay, so I discovered it was like a teaser trailer for Reunion on YouTube, and then there was kind of a casting call. And so I was like, why not? And I told my buddy Tanner that he should audition too. So him and I made an audition video together. And I'm so glad that this video has been erased. It's out there in the nether. No one will ever see it. But we ended up auditioning and we sang. Tanner played guitar. And we submitted that video to the email that was displayed on the casting call description. And Adam, which is the head of Blue Studios, formerly known as Blue Productions, he reached out to us and he's like, guys, I already cast everyone, but I need to give you guys a role. And that's what he left in the comment section of that video. And then he kind of reached out to us through email and we started chatting back and forth. And he created that security guard for me. And then he cast Tanner as Ezekiel.
Okay.
And then there was another security guard, and they cast Steven. And Steven was a good friend of mine too. And it just it was just kind of a really cool and remarkable timeline of events. Something that, I don't know, we were just kind of shooting our shot, not expecting much, and Adam gave us that really awesome opportunity. He saw potential in us, and I'm really grateful for him and I guess just the blessing that he gave us, because that is what gave us our beginning. After that, we there was a small legal debacle, and
yes.
Reunion was kind of up in the air, and so that was something that wasn't going to be worked on. And Adam was like, man, I need to come up with a new idea because that was so much fun, and I'm going to let people just kind of pitch their ideas. So he let the cast and crew come up with their own ideas and pitch it to him.
Oh, okay.
And there were a few ideas that were out there in the nether. I know Michael Kim had an idea with kind of this Korean ninja in space.
Okay, interesting.
It was a really cool idea that he wanted to pitch to Adam. And then there was another idea that was very similar to that one mystery movie and book based on a murder that happens on a train. What is that? The Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay, and interesting.
For me, I had this idea for Kruger Mansion kind of in my mind for a while. It had been a year that it had been festering, and it was inspired by a dream that I had. And originally, it was just this idea that you could create this interactive show where you let the audience vote on which room in a mansion could be unlocked, and it's like a reality TV show format. And based on that room, it would dictate what challenge is made, and then that would dictate which character got eliminated. And so that was just a small idea that I had, so the audience had so much power behind it. However, we, reformatted that. It went through a lot of different
stages.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Stages of development?
Formats. So, yeah, we reconstructed the idea, and then Kruger Mansion became the baby of that entire process.
Ah, okay. That's really interesting. Okay. Fun. So, what was the process like when directing and writing Kruger Mansion? Because I imagine it took quite a while. Were you the only person that was on the writing team?
That's a great question. I the 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 entire process was exciting. It was super enthralling, but there was a lot of like weight behind it too, because it was a large dream from someone who didn't really have that much of a reputation and didn't have a lot of resources. And so at first it was just me, and then Adam, when he saw the vision, it was just me and Adam. And then I did some coaxing and convinced Michael Kim to kind of join in. But I had the first episode written, and I had Adam and Michael look over it, and we went through some drafting. And then, and so originally it was just the three of us, and throughout time it's just kind of grown. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where we had like 50 plus individuals,
Oh,
dipping their
wow.
toes in the production.
Okay.
And I think one moment that the show really took a turn to becoming more of a reality was, well, there were two instances. The first one was I had written about 6 episodes. I was 6 episodes in, and I read it to one of my best friends. His name is Nick Schneider, and he's a very professional guy. He's an entrepreneur, and he's really great at networking. Him and I are just like, we're a power duo. We're inseparable.
Dream team.
We're best friends. Exactly. And I told him about this show, and he's like, hey, I'm interested in like reading some of the scripts. I love Sherlock Holmes. I love mysteries. And so I read it to him with the intention of eventually inviting him to become a producer.
Ooh.
Because I was like, I really want this guy on board. He's just he's really professional. He's a good friend of mine, and I think it would be so fun to collaborate with him. And so I read to him the first episode, and he's like, oh, that was pretty good. That was decent. And then we read the second episode, and he was like, that was better than the first episode.
Okay.
And then we read the is my audio cutting out, by the way?
Oh, no, you're
Can
fine.
you still hear me?
You're fine. I can hear you
Okay,
perfectly
sweet.
fine. Don't worry.
Sweet. And then we read the third episode, and that's when he got hooked. That's when he said, okay, this is going somewhere, and I can see the vision, and I'm interested. And I didn't extend the invitation to join the crew yet, but in that moment, he sat there and he looked at me and he said, I want to be a part of this. How can I help?
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, and so I extended the invitation to be the executive producer, and him and I have just been kind of grinding away at networking as much as we can, working on the scripts to try and finalize those before we end up in a pitch meeting to try and pitch it to a studio. And if it weren't for him, I think I would have gone crazy with all the responsibility behind the project, because it was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so he helped bring a lot of levity to the production, and certainly to the responsibilities that were, stressing me out in that position. After which, I think the other turning point was when Odd Nation Cartoons went through their legal debacle as well, concerning
yes.
like Disventure Camp.
Yes.
And right when that happened, I told Nick, I was like, all right, I'm jumping on this. Like, I'm jumping on this. They're not working on a project. I'm gonna email them. I'm gonna pitch to them, the idea of the show, and I'm gonna offer them, a gracious sum of money, what I can do, what I can provide, because I'm gonna offer them what they deserve if they are interested in animating the show. And at the time, they were like, okay, we're in, because they didn't know what was gonna happen to Disventure Camp. But of course, they won that situation.
Which, thank God for that.
They carried on, with Disventure Camp. And at the same time, they were animating Kruger Mansion. And it was just this really miraculous process, and a great example of just taking opportunities when you see them. And so that's what we've been trying to do, is just take opportunities, reach for the stars, and dream big. And so that's the motto behind Totally Tops Television.
Oh, absolutely. Odd Nation Cartoons animating both Kruger Mansion and Disventure Camp at the same time is crazy, considering how fast they get episodes done.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and it's like seeing the animation improvement from the original teasers from a few years ago, and now is crazy. Just congratulations, really. You've all come so far.
Thank you.
It's so good.
The talent is really with Jared and Robert and their animation team. They are phenomenal. Actually, you know what? The talent should be widespread. Everybody
Yes.
who dipped their toes in this project
Absolutely
really deserves praise.
And to hear that the episodes get better, each episode's better than the other. Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait for more Kruger Mansion content.
Oh, I'm excited for you guys to hit the first elimination. Like, I think that's gonna take you guys by storm. I hope.
Sammy, go home. Oh, sorry, did I say something?
Oh, you don't like Sammy?
I don't know.
I love Sammy.
He's just a little goofy. He's a little silly.
He's a goofball. It's true.
Speaking of the characters, who are your top 3 favorite characters in the show and why?
Ooh, which one? Disventure Camp?
Oh, Kruger Mansion. Kruger Mansion.
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, my favorite characters. All right. I am very biased towards the women. I think I write the female characters better than I write the male characters in season 1.
Really?
I think they're a lot more fleshed out, at least at the beginning. And so I'm very biased. I love Kendall. Kendall is awesome. She's the one with the heterochromia eyes. She's very mysterious. We don't really know what's going on with Kendall, right?
Yeah.
My other favorite is Fargo.
Oh my god, Fargo.
She's so blunt. She's so forward. She's so fun to write for because she's just spicy. She adds so much angst to the cast. And she's really like one of the only contestants, aside from another contestant that we will, see challenge this character in the future. But she's like one of the only contestants that fearlessly challenges Mick. At all times with her like witty dialogue and like, what do you say, pretty boy? Want to be my queen? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I don't love the word slay, but Fargo is in essence just that word. She slays, man. Like, I freaking.
Absolutely. Fargo and Mick's interactions were by far some of my favorite moments in the first episode. I love Mick.
Oh, I love that.
Team Mick for the win.
Mick for the win. Well, Mick for the win. All of them for the win. But I love Mick too, because I have a little bit of bias towards Mick because I relate to Mick on a very, very deep level.
Ooh.
But I would say the third place for my favorite characters would be. It's
tough choice.
It would either choices. It would either be Yuri. I love Yuri.
Yuri's really adorable.
She's a sweetheart. And the voice actress Emma is Yuri.
Oh my gosh.
She is Yuri. Yeah, Emma, shout out to Emma. Emma's just the best.
Shout out to the entire cast. You guys just brought the characters to life. Incredible job, really.
They are phenomenal. I got lucky. I'm so glad that they all auditioned. Okay, it's between Yuri or Sammy. And I know you don't love Sammy, but you gotta give him a chance. All right, wait till episode 2.
Okay. I can wait.
So yeah, either Yuri or Sammy. So top 3, Kendall, Fargo, and then third place is either Yuri or Sammy.
Okay, interesting. That's okay. So, what are some of your goals for Totally Tops Television in 2024?
Oh, that is a good question. Stellar question. Um, so Nick and I, we've been creating kind of this New Year's resolution on what we want to accomplish this year, and we've been creating SMART goals on how we can accomplish that. Um, and so our biggest goal, I mean, our end goal, we have steps to get to that goal, but end game status of like where we want to be is, and a lot of people are going to call us crazy for this goal, but we want to pitch our show to Mr. Beast.
Mr. B? Really?
We do, and we have two pitch decks for him. One is for our show and why it matches his brand and why it would be a good era for his brand, dabbling into cartoons.
Okay.
And then the other pitch deck is about how to market. It's the business aspect of the show, plus why he should build a streaming service.
Okay.
We kind of dissected, I guess, Jimmy's character and why that would fit him so much. And do you want me to go into this a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of just be vague.
Absolutely.
So, about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I think it was closer to 3, I was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I love that game. Roller Coaster Tycoon's awesome. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I know of Lagoon, I know Six Flags, I know Disney, Disneyland, Disney World, all these theme parks and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh man, what company is ever going to build a theme park like Disney ever again? Like, are we ever going to have another Disney? And so I thought on that as I was building my roller coasters on Roller Coaster Tycoon. Phenomenal game, by the way. And then I started watching Mr. Beast videos. That's when I was first acquainted to his content. And then I watched him on a podcast where he talked about how he had kind of like dissected the YouTube formula and he boiled it down to a science. And he was climbing really fast, and he still is. And at the time, I was like, wow, this guy, he's coming out of nowhere. And, he has all these dreams and ambitions, and that's really cool. I relate to that. I didn't really think anything of it until he started entrepreneuring different companies. He entrepreneured a chocolate brand. He entrepreneured a Beast Burger, his own restaurant that he hosted ghost kitchens in every single state in the United States of America and even outside of the United States.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. And he had his own merchandise line, and slowly he was working his way up to become the single, one of the highest, I guess, most recognizable, YouTube influencers out there. And the guy was just continuously trying to one-up his brand. He built Charlie's Chocolate Factory, and then he gave the chocolate factory away to the winner of the video, which was like a 10 to 20 minute video. And then he, before that, he built the Squid Games, which, he put $4.5 million down on a 20-minute video. And so
that is insane.
In that moment, I recognized this is the person, because he constantly talks about how he wants to one-up himself. He doesn't want to be stagnant. He wants to continuously progress. He wants to go upward and onward. And where do you go from there? Where do you go from putting down $4.5 million on a 20-minute video?
Oh,
how do you one-up yourself?
Okay.
And so I thought to myself, this is a guy that is going to build a theme park one day. He's going to be like, guys, what do you think of me opening up a Beast theme park 15 years from now, right? And so the vision was out there where I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this guy's brand could go. But what's the in-between steps? And I remember I was talking to Nick about it, and I was like, I bet you this is an individual who, he's not dumb.
he's a very intellectual businessman. I think he's going to build a streaming service one day. And that might sound crazy right now. A lot of things that people have like guessed that have come true have sounded crazy. But I told Nick that I was like, I think he's going to build a streaming service. And this was after the fact that I had planned on potentially pitching my show to him. But shortly after that, there was an announcement that Jimmy was going to meet with Elon Musk. And love him or hate him, you know, he's also a businessman. He's a big time businessman in just that realm, in that industry. He owns several different companies. He's the wealthiest man alive. And so a lot of people were like, oh, that's really, really cool, you know, meeting with Elon Musk. And so they met, took a couple photos, nothing really came of it. And in that moment, I was like, they're going to talk about building a streaming service together. Because if you look at Elon's profile, his biggest competition is Jeff Bezos. And what does Jeff Bezos have that Elon doesn't? Is Amazon Prime.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it'd be very smart for him to say, hey, Jimmy, you're the biggest influencer in the world. Why don't we go in together, build a streaming service together? Because there's a need for entertainment. Like, a lot of these streaming services are losing money. Disney Plus is losing money. And, you know, there's been a little bit of beef between Elon and Disney as of recently, too. And, you know, Elon is the kind of guy where he sees something he doesn't like, and he's like, he does basically the Bruce Wayne thing, and he's like, I'm just gonna buy it, and I'm gonna work on it and do it my way. You know, Twitter's an example, right?
Yeah.
Granted, he lost billions of dollars from investing in Twitter, you know, rebranding it to X, but I don't think the money was the important thing to him. I think what was important to him was, I guess, his opinions on censorship. And, you know, and everybody's got an opinion on that. I don't want to dive into that or the political opinions of that. However, you know, he sees a depravity or something that he wants to fix, and he will invest in that thing, and he will make it a reality. Right now, he has made several different comments about the entertainment industry as a whole, and with him beefing with Disney and also meeting with Mr. Beast, it's something where I believe they will go in, they'll create a streaming service, probably 50-50, and so Mr. Beast will own a portion of that streaming service, and through which I think that's perfect prime opportunity for us to pitch our show. And until that actually happens, until an announcement like that happens, we're just going to try and perfect the scripts, get ready to pitch it, create conceptual, you know, episodes, conceptual art, build kind of a community around this show so that we can make that vision become a reality. And I think the icing on the cake behind this, to kind of leave this speculation at an end, is, you know, Mr. Beast, Jimmy, was on a podcast recently with a comedian by the name of Andrew Schultz, streaming service. And Jimmy, it was a joke at first. It was pitched as if it was a joke. And Jimmy said, I can't talk about that right now.
Oh, so there's a chance.
So these theories, you know, there's just a remarkable amount of evidence that just continues to build up that is going to happen. And so we want to be the very first cartoon that Jimmy Donaldson, that Mr. Beast owns. And it would be like being the Snow White of Disney. Wait, Snow White wasn't the first animated project that Disney did, was it? But whatever first project Disney did, it would be like being that, because there is going to be this huge paradigm shift in the entertainment industry soon. And we have a pretty foolproof pitch on what would make for a really successful streaming service, because it caters to an audience and their needs. And we have several ways on how not only would we be saving the audience of that streaming service time and money, but it's also a very efficient way for us to generate revenue without, feeling like we're not giving a return on investment to all of the stakeholders involved, which includes the audience. So we've been perfecting kind of that pitch since then, and that's what we've been doing this entire year. So hopefully in the year of 2024, we would like to pitch to Mr. Beast.
That is crazy. I imagine that would be insane. Oh my gosh, I am wishing you guys the best. That would be incredible. I'd love to see Kruger Mansion become this big thing. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
There'd be a lot we could do with it, and if we were under a production, funded by kind of a big business like that, then the production would just be so much fun and so different and very, very professional.
Absolutely.
And so we did great with the resources that we had. Everybody did phenomenal. And so I'm looking forward to the future, because we did this with very little with what we had now. And so I can only imagine what it would be like if we had, the funding of an actual studio.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that you managed to create something so high quality with such little resources alone is crazy.
Thank you.
Man, okay. That was... I'm taken aback from all that science. It makes so much sense. It's like, wait, I'm clicking on. I think this could happen. I really think that could happen.
I think slowly but surely some people, because at the very beginning when we made the announcement that Mr. Beast was our goal, most people, rightfully so, were like, that's crazy. Like, that's just not, that's not in the realm of possibilities. But the evidence is starting to stack up in that way, and the more and more we've just kind of promoted that vision, the more and more we've seen a lot of people turn a new leaf and believe in it. And it's become this really amazing phenomenon here in Utah, because we had the opportunity to host a live theatrical premiere for episode 1. So we rented out a megaplex theater
Oh my gosh.
to show the episode.
Oh my gosh.
We had a big turnout. I have a few photos and some footage, and I've been meaning to make a vlog out of it a little bit. I don't know if I have enough footage to actually make a full-fledged video of it, but the experience in and of itself and the reception of it was just so, not just humbling, but it was exciting, because the people who had watched it before it was even released, just the people who had sat down in the movie theater, bought tickets to see it, and sat there and watched it, like they were engaged, and they wanted to see what this low production show could become in the future. And we did a live Q&A with the cast and crew in front of this entire theater, and it was a blast, and it really confirmed that this is what I want to do. And the way that we want to pitch it to Mr. Beast is, when we get in front of him, the first thing we're going to say is, look, you walk around VidCon and everybody knows your name, but give your brand a reason to be at Comic-Con.
Oh, wow. Okay. And hey, you never know unless you try.
Exactly. If you can believe it, if you can conceive it and believe it, then you can achieve it. That's my motto.
Wow. That's crazy. I'd love to see that happen. How can people help you achieve that goal?
Oh, that's a freaking great question. I would say right now, the reason we don't have a Patreon or a GoFundMe is because we don't really have much to offer in terms of consistency. We're trying to create, I guess, behind the scenes, all of the scripts. And so if we were to create a Patreon and people were to subscribe to that, every month, I feel like we wouldn't really have much animated content to deliver to them. And so we obviously we don't want people to waste their money on this production. So what we did is we created a merchandise line. And so every time you purchase like a form of our merchandise, that a fraction of that money goes to the production and goes to our livelihood as well. And through that, it helps us get further in our goal and helps us with our campaign to get to Mr. Beast. The reason we don't have a lot of content to give to the audience is to kind of backpedal, is because we are trying to finish up the scripts and we're trying to be as delicate as possible with the scripts. We really care that each one of them really hits a new nerve and it really shows you something new about this world and this story. And so it takes a lot of time, but it's a big focus of ours because we want to go into our pitch meeting with the entire scripting done, all 20 episodes written, and part of season 2 written. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have even said that. No confirmation for season 2. You guys didn't hear that.
Hello? Excuse me?
We want to get the first season's episodes finished because we feel very strongly that if we're ready with the scripts ahead of time, then there's less of a chance that the vision gets interrupted. And what I mean by that is there's a director by the name of James Wan. He directed Saw, he directed
Yes.
Insidious.
Oh, I love
some
James
of the
Wan's
Conjurings.
movies. Absolutely, I'm a huge fan.
He's
James Wan.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of inspiration from his work. But he he directed this show or this movie called Dead Silence.
Yes.
It didn't make as much money as he was hoping, and it wasn't that successful, and it didn't resonate super well with very many people, and it was mainly because he felt like his vision had been the final product didn't match his vision. And he explained on one of his interviews that the reason behind that was because he went into the pitch meeting with an idea, but he didn't have the script finalized. And so when they signed on that idea, he not only had a time frame which rushed him with the scripting, but he also they signed on a bunch of Hollywood writers, and they didn't understand his vision. And so the script just became something that was good but didn't match what he wanted in the end. And so we don't want that to happen. Not with Kruger Mansion. It's our baby, and we want it to, as much as it does take time, we want it to be approached with delicacy. We just recently got a comment today on Totally Tops Television where someone's like, oh, is it going to take another 20 years to see the next episode? And I wanted so badly to respond, yeah, probably. But not really. It's not really going to take 20 years. But, we are taking our time because we want
the best.
We just care so much.
Absolutely.
We care so much about it.
And absolutely, take your time. Like, don't rush production. We want it to be perfect, as great as it can be. Like
So, if you want to support, take our personality quiz. It'll match you with one of our characters, and then at the very bottom, you can see our logo for Totally Tops Television and Kruger Mansion. You can click on that, and it will take you to our merchandise line. So that's the best way to support the show if you want to support it.
I will also leave a link to the merch store in the description of this video. Yippee! Self-promotion!
Let's go.
I'm so excited for the future of Kruger Mansion. I really am.
Thank you.
What are some tips and pieces of advice that you would give to someone who wants to pitch, direct, or write their own show?
That's great. Oh, okay. That is a deep question. And there's a lot of advice that I could give, and I'll try to speak as if like I'm speaking to a younger version of myself, because
Okay.
there's a lot of things that I didn't know that I wish I knew. Um, and the one thing that is so difficult when starting these kind of things without like the proper connections to get to the next step is you just have to be tenacious and you have to be consistent. Um, and so I have an action list of things that I need to accomplish within that week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very satisfying to check a checkbox, to get further down, that list of goals that I have. So, like, my number one piece of advice is to just be consistent and don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up. Because if you don't give up, you're going to learn so many valuable lessons along the way. And you're also going to fail, which is good for you. It's good for you to fail. That's how you build muscle. It's gonna hurt. You have to break down your muscle in order to build muscle. And so, throughout this entire process, I was broken down in a lot of different ways, through criticism, through what's the word I'm looking for? Not virtual corruption. Corruption of files, like losing files.
Oh, yes.
That was really sad, like having a hard drive explode on me that had like a lot of content on it.
Oh, yeah.
Having to start anew and build myself up. That happened to me 3 times, actually.
Oh,
which is so
gosh.
sad. But, like, there is always going to be a hurdle ahead. And sometimes those hurdles are short, sometimes those hurdles are tall, and you just have to learn how to jump over them and find solutions to them. And so instead of letting a problem defeat you, let that become a learning experience and find a solution. If you have a goal and you care enough about it, don't stop. Don't let anything stop you from achieving that goal. And be open to criticism as well. Like, there are times where criticism is stupid. 100% stupid. It's not worth your time. It's not even criticism. It's literally just somebody being nitpicky. And so, find a healthy balance to ignore that type of criticism. But when there's healthy criticism, when somebody genuinely wants to see you succeed, and they approach it in a way where they're like, I like this and I like this, but this, this might not resonate with the audience, or this here, feels a little bit weird. This dialogue doesn't really match. That motive doesn't really hit. Be open to that. Think about it. So don't be swayed by every piece of criticism, because if you do, then your vision will get distorted into someone else's vision, and it won't really be yours. But be open to a healthy level of criticism, enough to where you can see the flaws in your creation and you perfect it. And so I think that is one of the hardest things to learn, is finding healthy criticism. And so, and don't surround yourself with people who, okay, so there's two different types of people. There's people who are just kind of like gonna praise your project no matter what, because they adore you and they adore the project. You want, and don't surround yourself with negative people either. Surround yourself with people who want you to succeed, but they will also tell you their opinions in a healthy way.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and so, yeah, because if you surround yourself with people who are just going to tell you that, oh, this is amazing, slay queen, like this is fantastic. If you surround yourself with another version of yourself, then one of your opinions is redundant.
Mm.
You need to surround yourself with other people that have diverse opinions. And so that's my advice. That's my advice.
Okay. Like as someone who is also trying to like write my own story and make like storyboards and a pilot for it, that was actually some really useful advice to give. So thank you.
What kind of show are you trying to write?
Um, just basically, I'm working on a little. I don't really entirely know what it's gonna be. I'm more leaning towards an audio drama or a comic series, but it's called Creative Types. I've talked about it a few times on my Instagram. Go follow me at Causa Corps. Um, where it's just a bunch of people who are creative in their own different ways and are basically trying to use that to come over their own adversities and coming together, and it really explores like different ways where people can really express themselves, and it's something that I've been working on for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And so that was really helpful advice as someone who's been wanting to kind of create my own world with my own characters and really like show others what I'm capable of. So thank you for that. That was great. That was a great answer.
Well, based on that pitch alone, you have me hooked. I'm excited to see the production of Creative Types. I also think that is an awesome name.
Thank you.
That is an awesome name for a series. So I'd love to hear more about it when it comes out.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So kind of last question, talking about Kruger Mansion and Totally Tops Television. Do you have any other ideas for cartoons or stories that you want to pitch and create? And if so, can we have a little sneak peek on what's to come in the future?
Oh, yes. That's a great question. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've said that about every question. That's a great question, but I'm sincere when I say that. Like,
Thank you.
you know, these have all been stellar questions. And I know
Thank you.
you took some of the questions from the audience and you also came up with the questions on your own. But honestly, thank you for preparing these questions and things like that. So thank you, Corza, for doing that.
Oh, stop it. Thank you. Stop it.
I do have another show that I have put on the back burner. I eventually want to create it after I finish the series The Mysteries. And it's called Cannibal Cafe.
Hello? That immediately hooked my attention.
it's I just recently got acquainted with Has Been Hotel, and
yes.
surprisingly enough, it has a very not similar tone, but similar, well, maybe similar tone, where it's kind of a dark comedy. And it's wacky, it's thrilling, it follows a young adult guy, much like myself. He's very ordinary, just nothing really going for him. He's just very average guy, but he is going to a university in Japan. And the reason he wants to go to a university in Japan is, and he's with one of his best friends by the name of Ronnie, so Leith and Ronnie are their names, and they just want to experience the nightlife of Japan. So they decided to transfer to a university in Japan, and they stumble upon something that they shouldn't have seen. And there are so many different twists and turns, a lot of inspirations from video games and shows that I've played. Ronnie gets turned into a ventriloquist dummy, which is kind of a funny twist. and Leith witnesses a murder from this girl by the name of October, and she holds him hostage, brings him back to this place called Cannibal Cafe, where people are drinking blood and whatnot, and then he comes to find out that the owner of that cafe is a vampire, and the entire cafe is just vampires who live in harmony with humans, and since he had witnessed like a murder and it was tied and correlated to that cafe, they're like, okay, we can't keep you out of our sight, so now we have to put you on shift, and he has to work at a vampire cannibal cafe if he wants to keep his life.
Oh my gosh.
And it's a comedy about business rivals. It's a comedy about the workforce, and specifically working at a food industry. And right across from Cannibal Cafe is a restaurant called Werewolf Waffles. And it's literally owned by werewolves, people who, are shapeshifters once a month, and they have a little therapy club in the Werewolf Waffle Cafe. Or Werewolf Waffle restaurant. And so it's a dark comedy. And so Cannibal Cafe, that's another story that is on the back burner, and I want to write so badly. And but that is years in the future. Right now, it's Kruger Mansion. It's the Mysteries series. But in the future, Cannibal Cafe is a show or a comic that I would love to develop.
Oh, that sounds so fun. That actually reminds me of the pilot episode of Bob's Burgers. I don't know.
I've never seen Bob's Burgers.
Really?
Now you're making me want to watch it.
Well, the original concept for the show was that the burgers were going to be made by human meat.
Oh my gosh.
And they actually based.
Serious?
Yeah, that was the original concept. There is a pilot clip on YouTube that you can watch. I'll leave it in the description if you're curious, but that reminded me, I'd love to see that in the future. That's such a funny idea. Kind of mixing horror and comedy. Oh, I'm all here for it. I'm a sucker for horror. I'm a huge sucker for horror comedies.
Honestly, same.
I'm here for it. That is so cool. Okay, so kind of segueing out of Totally Tops television, let's talk a little bit about Disventure Camp. So, as we know, you are the voice of Nick.
Yes. Yep, that's me.
That is you. The best Disventure Camp character. No, I am not being biased.
No bias. No bias at all.
Mm-mm.
No bias.
Nope. Here's a bit of a fun one. How would you personally describe the character of Nick to someone who hasn't watched the show before?
He's bloody brilliant, but he's a total ponce. So Nick is a character that was sheltered his entire life because he had overprotective parents who were extremely wealthy, and so he grew up around a specific lifestyle, which made him naive to a lot of real life things, and he decided, in order to get away from his parents, to sign up for a reality TV show. And he did it to kind of stick it to them because he's an angsty British boy. He just wants to get out there, and he wants to just like make himself known, and Nick is Nick,
Nick is Nick.
He signs up for that TV show, he gets cast, he ends up on the show, and he's not bad by nature. As a matter of fact, I think what he did kind of shows an essence of what he is by nature. Because he made a very big mistake in the show.
Yes.
He was easy to make friends, and he's got some witty dialogue. He doesn't really care for formalities. He is more about just kind of being himself. And he made that big mistake by voting Will out because he didn't trust Will.
I can't believe he believed the demon child over Will.
Yeah. But he did that because, not just because he trusted a child, but because he believed that in no way could this child be evil, because he wants to protect a child. And so by nature, I think he's a good guy. He was like, how dare you disrespect a child? It's a child. And so I think Nick was, I mean, he had good intentions. He just thought that the people he had teamed up with were crazy. He thought they were nuts. And that was his big mistake, was not trusting in his alliance. But I put myself in Nick's shoes, and if the only thing I saw was, an older gentleman yelling at a child, I would also think the same thing. I would be like, "What are you doing? Why are you so crazy? Like, what the heck?"
That is a good point.
Nick was duped, and so that's how he lost the money. However, he didn't need the money to begin with. He didn't need to win the show to begin with.
True.
The beauty of Nick as a character is that he just brings substance to the show, and that's his entire purpose, is to add substance to the chemistry between characters. And so he's a ponce, and he's a lot of fun to act for, and I think they had a lot of fun writing for his character. So I'd love to see him come back in like a future season or something like that, and I would do it. If they asked me to come back, I would 100% do it.
Come on, Jared. Come on, Robert. You heard him. Bring back Nick. He was robbed for All Stars.
Bring him back as an intern or something. I think that'd be even funnier. Like,
Nick as an intern. Imagine. You're giving me ideas.
Nick and Oliver.
Oh my God, the duo.
The duo.
Now, here's a bit of a fun one, okay? So, as we all know, you are a writer, a very good writer.
Thanks.
And I want you to kind of give a little bit of a creative twist to Nick. If Nick was in All-Stars, in an alternate universe where Nick was in All-Stars, how would you personally write the character? How would you expand upon Nick?
Ooh, okay. I know a lot of people are very opinionated on what Nick should do. There's a lot of Alec Nick supporters too.
Yes!
A lot of people who love the Alec Nick ship. And honestly, I think that's a cool idea.
Yes!
I do think that's an awesome idea. I've seen the fan art. I hear you guys. I hear y'all.
I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. Oops.
Personally, I've had a lot of deep discussions with people about this specific situation, and I've seen videos. I've seen prediction videos that are pretty wild too. And there was this one prediction video that I'm gonna base this off of as well, because I think it was actually a great idea. And I also heard this from someone else too that is a part of the Disventure Camp community, and that's if Nick were to be inserted into the All-Star season, I think Nick needs to get revenge on Alec. Like, my opinion is, I think it would be justice
yes!
for Nick to stick it to Alec. I do.
Villain Nick.
When Alec got rid of Nick, he made that comment where he's like,
I can't stand you.
He said, what was it? You're the worst in the challenges, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You're the worst in the challenges.
And I can't stand you.
And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I had a bad episode, but
a bad
okay,
episode.
When it came to the fear challenge, all right, I took a needle to the butt, and you wouldn't shave your head. So Nick is not the worst in the challenges here, okay? Nick he did his part.
I mean, bro did row a canoe with one hand.
I know. He has some superhuman strength or something going on, right?
I'm going as fast as I can. He's using one hand.
As fast as I can. Yeah. But that would not be the main essence. I think that I would put Nick in a mentorship role for Lake.
Yes! Yes.
I think Lake and Nick have, there's a homogenous storytelling there where they both have, overprotective parents. And Nick is in a different way where his parents are just like, they have a bunch of money, and so it's like, why do we need to, have our son interact with the world if we, everything he needs is here, right? And so he's sheltered in that aspect. but he's also like an angsty guy who just like kind of does what he wants to do. Whereas Lake, she was very much confined to her house, and her parents were very overprotective, way overprotective, to where they dictated what she was going to do with her life. And so I think having kind of an older brother vibe with Lake and Nick would have been really cool to see.
Yes.
And I think like now that we know that Ashley is in the game, I think it would have been really cool if the way Nick, like to wrap Nick's storyline up, to make it really go full circle, is if Nick and Ashley made it to the merge, and like there are some like people who are antagonists in the game who think Ashley's the front runner, and so we need to vote out Ashley. And Nick sees this, and so he makes a sacrifice in order to save Ashley. And so what he does is he ends up taking the fall and gets eliminated instead of Ashley to make it go full circle, because he was the reason that entire alliance like lost. Like Will, Ashley, Lil, and Nick, they all lost because of Nick.
Yeah.
And that's a hot take, but
it's the truth. It really is.
Yeah. If he hadn't have made that huge mistake, you know, they would have dominated. Heck, Alec, Ellie, and Fiore would have been eliminated really early on if they stuck together. And so I think having Nick make the ultimate sacrifice for both Ashley and maybe even Lake would just be mwah, chef's kiss. It would be a full circle to wrap up and conclude his story. And so I do think there needs to be some redemption for Nick, and the beauty of the fact that Nick needs redemption is that it means that maybe his story isn't over. Maybe he does come back in the future. Maybe they do a coaches season where they bring back characters from prior seasons to coach newer characters, and they end up inserting them into the game to compete, and maybe Nick is one of those. So, you know, there's opportunity for Nick to come back. And I hope he does, and I hope he grows and progresses and doesn't just become a static character, but that he's a character with a lot of definition and complexity.
Absolutely. Like, of course, biases aside, because Nick is my favorite Disventure Camp character, I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunity with exploring his backstory, and I think I mentioned this in my own analysis video on Nick, that like Nick and Lake interacting would have been such a fun concept, considering while their home lives are very different, they're also similar in certain essences. And like, I just think that was such a missed opportunity.
Was that you who brought that up? I think that was you.
Yeah.
Who brought that up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this just came full circle. It was you who brought that up, that brought the inspiration to that for me.
Thank you.
Scriptwriter, I approve.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come on, Odd Nations. I made a whole video about why Nick should come back, and you just swished it under the rug. No, I'm joking.
It's funny because there's also another YouTuber who references that too.
Really?
They made like a whole all-star like prediction video before like the cast was announced. And they talked about that too.
Oh.
So hey, look, you're in sync with good storytelling. Obviously,
we're sharing brain cells.
Yep. So I can see good storytelling when I hear it. So you're doing great.
Stop it.
Odd Nations, you need to hire Corsa Corps.
Yeah, and Nick can win every season. It'll be perfect.
Well, I think the beauty of Nick being like someone to adore is that he doesn't win.
That's true. Know? He is a flop, but we love him for that.
We love him for that.
Disventure Camp's biggest boy flop.
Yeah, quick question for you.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah, if you think about it, like, who are some of your favorite like characters from Total Drama?
Oh no. Okay. I Now, considering my favorite character is Nick from Disventure Camp, this is gonna. You might.
Am I gonna
Uh,
be shocked?
maybe. One of my
Maybe.
favorite characters. This is completely. It started as a joke. It's not a joke anymore. I really love Topher. I love Topher.
Topher is the man. So underrated.
Thank you.
So,
I have an I wrote a whole AU where he became the main antagonist because he should have been. The whole Scarlet Fever thing was stupid in my opinion. Topher antag. Topher is he's so funny. He's so funny. I love Topher.
he really is. He really is. Okay, if you had to choose top three, so you got Topher.
Okay,
Give me two
Topher.
more.
I also love Scott. I'm starting to notice that
Scott.
I love the antagonistic comedic relief characters.
Okay, okay.
And probably third is, I mean, it's a redonkulous race team. Jacques and Jose. The ice dancers are great. They're my favorite antagonists in the whole series.
Heck yes. Okay, notice how none of those picks are winners.
I know. Sad.
And so I think that there's something to be said about writing like characters that are gonna be favorites and not letting them win. Because I think once you do that, they no longer become fan favorites. I think of Total Drama, and I think there are only like three characters that have won or gone to the finale that I would actually not mind winning again. Because when you reinsert a winner into another season, it's like they're not gonna win again.
Yeah.
Why would I care about them being there? I think that was like kind of something that All Stars struggled with.
Oh,
Total Drama
absolutely.
All-Stars.
I could go on a whole
Is
rant about how
there
much
were
I hate that season.
Yeah, well, there were too many finalists that made it to like the mid merge and stuff like that, and it's like we know they're not gonna win because you want to give us a new winner, and so like we can kind of piece together who's gonna make it to the finale from here, and so and you don't root for them anymore because it's like their arc should have ended at their win, and so I think the only winners or the only finalists that I would care to see compete again and win again would be Jeff. I love Jeff from Redonkulous Race. His win. I think Jeff is awesome.
Jeff is really
Priya.
fun.
I love Priya.
Priya. She was I love Priya. I'm
Priya's
not
awesome.
I'm not a huge fan of the new season. I have very mixed opinions on it, but I do really like Priya as a finalist. Oh yes, that is a very hot take.
It's a hot take, but I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect it. And then the last one is actually a hot take. The third person who I wouldn't mind making to the finale again is Lightning. So Jeff, Priya, and Lightning. So those are my three. Those are like my only three that I wouldn't mind see making it to the finale again.
Really, Lightning? Really?
I think he's so funny. I honestly do. I think Lightning is hilarious.
He is very funny, but come on, really?
I will admit
he is very funny,
no
but really,
way it would happen again.
he came didn't he come second last in All Stars?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. Although I think I was talking to Cove, Reality Cove, recently.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar
Yes,
with who that is.
yes, I am very familiar with Reality Resort and Cove's content.
We were talking about the new season and how everything's kind of like the eliminations are actually very surprising. Like I didn't see some of these eliminations coming. And early on I told Cove, I said, I think they're going to want to be really shocking with who they bring to the finale. I think it's going to be very unexpected. And he was like, oh, okay, who do you think's going to the finale? And I was like, I think we're going to see a prior finalist make it to the finale again because it's never been done before. And so I think Priya is going to be in the final two again. I don't think she's going to win. I think they're going to bring her to the final two just because they're going to put an underdog against her, and she has proven that she's a challenge beast. And and they're gonna make it to where now she's kind of like the force to be reckoned with. And so
Ah.
I think that's how it's gonna go. I think she'll make finale again, but it's just a guess. It's just a guess.
It's just a theory. A film theory.
Again, theory.
Priya being a finalist again, I never really thought about it, but you actually do make a lot of good points. I think she does have a lot of potential, but who would go up against her? That's the real question. Maybe Caleb?
I think it's gonna be Raj.
Raj!
I think it's gonna be Raj.
Raj would be so fun. I want Raj to win a season. He's great. I love the Hockey Bros. They're hilarious.
I'm so biased. I love Raj, Wayne, MK, Julia, and Caleb and Priya. Those are my top 6. I love those 6.
I actually made a tier list a few days ago. Where is it? Yes. What about Damien? Damien has potential to win. Maybe?
He didn't get very many lines in the first episode, and so I was like, oh yeah, he's a mid boot. I think he's gonna be a mid boot. I think Z is gonna get booted soon, and then I think Wayne is gonna get booted soon, and then I think Damien is gonna get booted.
Oh, that'll leave
Those 3
Raj alone.
I think those are the next 3 that are going.
Okay. All right, interesting. I'd also love to see Axel win. Listen, I am not a fan of what they did to my girl this season.
Oh.
I'm not a huge fan. I'm planning to make a video about that, but Axel, get away from him. Please get away from him. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you
Stop
doing?
it, Axel. Stop it.
Fresh TV, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? Pairing up this queen, this Sean extraordinaire queen with that. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, Axel's pretty cool. She's very unique, and I think Ripper.
Ugh.
It came out of nowhere, and it's interesting, but I do think that it does damage to her character. So I'm hoping Ripper gets eliminated. Although, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Ripper is the next eliminated, just because I think his story is kind of done. He got the girl. He's done.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
He never did. You know.
He never needed to be here. Let's be real. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Ripper fans. I can't with this guy. I hate him. I hate him so much. I've never been so mad at a drawing in my life. Oh gosh.
What the heck, Ripper? What the heck?
Man, this guy sucks. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on?
Well, friends, if you haven't subscribed to Corza Corpse, I would encourage you to do so because they create a lot of awesome content. I've seen some of your videos, and I think they're awesome. I watched your video on why Nick should be in All Stars, and I thought that was really well developed. I think Corza Corpse has some phenomenal ideas for content and is a great writer, and I think that they approach things differently than most people, and that's what makes it so unique. So, friends, if you have not subscribed to Corza Corpse yet, I would encourage you to do so.
Stop it!
I'll leave it at that.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. I appreciate that. And where can people find and support you, Deric? Plug in your socials.
Heck yeah. So, if you would like to support me, I do have an Instagram, so you can support me individually if you want to. However, the biggest compliment you could give to me is not by following me on Instagram, but it's by subscribing to Totally Tops Television, because that's where my baby is. That's where Kruger Mansion is. And so you can not only support me, but you can support the cast and crew, including Odd Nation Cartoons, by subscribing to that channel and watching the Mysteries of Kruger Mansion. Heck, liking and commenting on that video will also boost us in the algorithm to get more eyes on the episode. So if you want to support us, I would encourage you to go over and do that. And so that is totally tops television. So yeah, go over, subscribe. If you do, that would be totally tops, dude.
I will leave links to all of those in the description of this video. Thank you so much, Deric, for coming on with me today. It was so much fun.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, I hope you all have an amazing day, and thank you so much for watching and listening. And like Deric said, click the subscribe button, please. It'd really appreciate it. It really helped me out. Thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
And anything else that you want to add before we leave?
Thanks for watching. Yeah, honestly, thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye!